Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday, March 1st edition, studentloanjustice.org. My name is Alan Collins, founder of studentloanjustice.org. Welcome. We're glad that you found us. We're glad that you're here. What took you so long? I'm actually filling in for Ed tonight, so I'm going to keep it hopefully really short. If I can see your comments on either Twitter or Facebook, I will gladly respond to them. So a lot is going on in the news right now, folks. We're expecting a pretty good piece coming out of a major newspaper this week. Should be pretty good. We've been doing a bunch of interviews lately, so there's a couple other things in the hopper. But we continue to fight for the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans, ladies and gentlemen. The most important thing I'm going to tell you tonight is whether you want your loans canceled, whether you want a break on interest, whether you want some other negotiated workout. None of that stuff is going to happen until and unless we get the threat of bankruptcy returned to us. I know you don't want to file for bankruptcy. Nobody does. It's a terrible thing to have to do. But over 17 very long years of careful observation and thorough study, we have learned that we are not going to see meaningful student loan cancellation unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy returned. This up to $50,000 nonsense is nonsense. Up to could mean anything. And it will mean almost nothing for almost everybody when the people at the Department of Education have their way with things, and they will. Just remember that. The most important thing that anybody can do right now is help us fight for S2598. When we get the threat, just the threat of bankruptcy returned, Joe Biden will have to cancel loans meaningfully, broadly, deeply, perhaps totally. You know, this lending system has catastrophically failed, and I mean catastrophically. It is galactically failed like no other lending system we've ever seen before in this country. You know, the default rate for subprime home mortgages was 20%, 1 in 5. We now know that the class of 2004 has a default rate of over 40%, and they were only borrowing a third of what is being borrowed today. So what do you think the default rate is going to be for everybody walking around? Even before the pandemic, everybody walking around with student loans was probably going to have a default rate of something like 65 or 70%. And that was before the pandemic. So guys, we're in silly season. This is la la land. This is cartoon territory for this lending scam. It's dead. It's finished. It's failed. There is no saving it. There should be no saving it. We would like to see a clean death to this lending system. And that means the president using his executive authority or the Secretary of Education administratively canceling all, not some, not up to 10,000, not up to 50,000, none of this nonsense, canceling all federally owned student loans. They can do this without needing one thin dime from the Treasury, without needing to add even one nickel to the national debt. So that has to happen. Quite frankly, President Trump should have done that a year or two ago during this pandemic. Biggest mistake of Donald Trump's presidency that he did not do that. So no matter how you slice it or dice it, whatever your opinion may be, the lending system has failed nonetheless. Before the pandemic, 64.3%, like nearly 2/3 of all borrowers, were not paying on their loans. Think about that. Nearly 2/3 of all borrowers were not paying on their student loans before the pandemic. So what do you think that's going to be after the pandemic, when and if they try and turn the lending system back on? My best guess is that if even 20% of the borrowers resume paying, it'll be surprising. And I think whatever the high point is after May 1st, I think that will go down precipitously in the months following May 1st. So tonight we have Joe Biden making his State of the Union address. And if you have any comments about what you think he might say or might not say, I'd be interested to hear them. We put up a little thing on our Facebook group and on our Twitter asking for people's comments on that. And first of all, I kind of don't think he'll even mention student loans, is my first guess. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe you do. I kind of don't think he'll even mention student loans. But if he does mention student loans, he'll probably say something like, I've canceled $14 billion in student loans my first year in office, and I'm not stopping there. I want to go further. He'll say something like that. And he'll try and put lipstick on the pig of this failed lending program. And good for him. That's what I expect. Now, you should all know that in an average year, over $100 billion is added to the federal lending program in interest. So Joe Biden could cancel $14 billion a year forever, and the lending system would still grow by $85 billion a year. So that's absolute nonsense. So from our group, the comments that I am seeing, I think most people think he's not even going to mention student loans. And so I would kind of agree with you. Nick Maraglio says, as the midterms get closer, all of a sudden it will become more important. And then we will be told more lies about what we are going to do for you after the midterms. Right. Exactly, Nick. I think most people believe that. They're stringing us out. They're holding us hostage through the midterms, and if they can possibly do it, through the next presidential election. That's absolutely and completely unacceptable, guys. You know, we're a nonpartisan group. We don't like either party, quite frankly. So if you're a Republican or a Democrat, we're glad that you're here. But I'm here to tell you, Biden is the worst. He was the worst presidential candidate in the field. He's the one guy we did not want because of his past culpability, complicity, whatever you want to call it, on the student loan issue. Which is not to say that we wanted Trump. Trump was terrible. Trump was horrible. But the good news is, folks, you know, we followed Joe Biden around all over Iowa for years, actually. We met him, met his wife, met his granddaughter, I should say. Joe Biden is a politician, okay? So we got that going for us. He'll go which way the wind blows. Like, he laughed me out of the room on a very moderate question about bankruptcy in Iowa. And within a couple of months, he was all of a sudden not only embracing bankruptcy protections for student loans, at least on paper, he was even promising to eliminate student loan debt for people earning less than $125,000 a year, went to a public college or HBCU. So Biden's a politician, and I know a lot of you are really pissed having voted for him in the very reasonable expectation that he would cancel loans. And I know a lot of you people are just beyond pissed that he has stabbed us on the back on this, and I get that. But you know, Biden's a politician, and the one thing I can tell you, the strongest thing I'm going to say tonight, folks, is when the threat of bankruptcy is back on our side. Not that you would ever file, not that you would ever even, hopefully nobody would even need to file, but when the threat of bankruptcy is returned to us, Biden and the whole entire student loan apparatus, they will have to acknowledge that the jig is up. They will have to capitulate. They will have to either cancel student loans broadly, meaningfully, deeply, perhaps totally, or they will preside over the worst, largest wave of bankruptcy filings in this country ever in U.S. history, including the Great Depression. I don't think they want to be that. They don't want to be those guys. So, yeah, guys, it's so important. Whether you want loan cancellation, whether you want to break on interest, whether you want some of their negotiated settlement, you've got to help us fight for bankruptcy. I know it's a sort of unpleasant thing to do because I've been doing it for 17 years now. But guys, it's just that important. Don't be snowed by the bullshit you see on almost every other media platform on the internet. There's so much nonsense out there, guys. 9 out of 10 articles that are written on the student loan problem are written by people with an interest, like the Forbes people. Those people would not have day jobs if the student loan program were to go away. They fight for the lending system, and that is 9 out of 10. If not even higher, of the shit we see in the media right now. Pardon my French. So let's see. Linda says nothing. Yeah, Biden will probably say nothing about student loans. Ramon Vega Sr. says he has been ignoring the plea for student loan justice for quite some time. He hopes he will address the issue tonight. unless there's a push from people like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer. Yeah, don't count on those guys. We're thrilled. We're thrilled that Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer, let's say, embraced the concept of canceling loans by executive order. We're thrilled. You know, we were talking about this as far back as August 2019. Our group started the petition, change.org/cancel student loans, that brought the concept of canceling student loans by executive order into the zeitgeist. And that was March 2020. And then again, and finally, in I want to say August, September 2020, Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer embraced the concept. And we're thrilled that they did. We really are. It was really good that just the concept in and of itself was brought on and put onto the table, and now is obviously legal. There was some early debate about that, but that question's been answered. You know, Joe Biden has already canceled huge amounts of interest by executive order, so his power is not in question at this point, and I think everybody knows it. So it's really good that Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer did that. However, the up to $50,000 weasel wording is exactly that, guys. Not to be trusted at all. It's a trick. It's a scam. It's a gimmick. So Shannon Force says, yep, nothing or what he promised, $10,000, but it wouldn't happen. Or, yeah, I'm going to do it later. Right. Kimberly Page Taylor says, nothing. Althea Palacios says he's going to cancel them and do everything in his authority to restore bankruptcy protections. I love your attitude, Althea. I love it. I love your positive attitude. Love it very much. Gordon Wayne Watts says, I'm a right-wing conservative Republican, but I hope you are right and have positive wishes for all politicians of both parties. You know what? I'm just going to leave it at that. With those two very optimistic comments, I'm just going to leave it there because I don't want to read the rest, because you know what they say. Let's leave it at that. And I will end this live stream now, and we will see what President Biden has to say or not say. And let's hope for those two things that Althea and Gordon just said and endorsed, and that I endorse as well. Maybe we'll get lucky. So here's to hoping, folks. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great night. Enjoy the State of the Union if you even watch it. Do a month worth of our daily actions, studentloanjustice.org. Go to our daily actions, do a month worth. It's easy. It's Twitter. These are your loans. This is your problem. We are the only group fighting for the actual solution to this problem. I kid you not. We are the pioneers. We are the trailblazers. So we've got to fight a little harder. We've got to punch a little above our weight, and you cannot unhear that. So do your part and tell everybody, everyone you know, with student loans or without, about this group, about our petition, change.org/cancel student loans. Let's get this done, guys. We need you. We need you. We need you. And last thing I'll say, make sure you call both of your senators tomorrow. And if they're Republican, call them twice and say whatever you need to say to strongly compel them to co-sponsor S2598. It is that important. Don't sit and wait and watch and worry and eat popcorn and cheerlead and think that somebody else is going to pull your weight for you. That's never happened. Never will happen. You have to own this problem. These are your loans. This is your problem. This is your livelihood on the table here. So help us fight and we'll get there. All right, guys, good luck. Godspeed. Here's to hoping for a pleasant State of the Union address. And God bless everybody.